Okay, here is the fuselage, and the next thing we have to do is to take the back parts of the fuselage and put it together. But before we do that, there are some things that we have to put into the fuse, and we'll have a look at those first. Here we have the fuselage, and into that we're going to put a motor. The plans show an OS Max 15 internal combustion engine, but we're not going to use that. We're going to use electricity. And here we have a Turnigy motor, electric motor, that is going to fit in here. Now, as is obvious, this motor is a lot shorter than the IC engine, so we're going to have to put about 25 millimeters behind it. So I'll make a box or something that will fit here. Connecting this through the firewall, we're going to have to put a hole through the firewall, and we're going to have to put this thing. This is a speed controller. It will connect to the motor and sit somewhere around there. Now, to keep it there, we might just put in this tank floor, balsa floor, which was thought to have contain the tank, the fuel tank, but we can put it a little bit higher, and this can sit there. We can put this up, even though the this floor is just about as high as it can be. So we can put this down there. Underneath we can have the power source, this battery. Now there's going to be a hole here in the bottom, and we can slide the battery up into the fuselage, and then we can position it as we need to balance the model. So there's plenty of room for battery. Here the plans show 2 servos. Now, in those days when this was made, the servos were huge. Today they are about a third of the size. This is an ordinary 9-gram servo, and it's going to fit down here, and indeed we're going to have 2 of them sitting there. Then we're going to have a receiver. Here's one that will be placed somewhere around there. We can have access to it through the hole in the bottom, and we can place it anywhere we like. The only thing is that these 2 antennas will have to be spread at 90 degrees, something like that. So they might just exit the fuselage, or we can put in some tubes for them to lie in. But the receiver will be somewhere around there. Then yes, these will be bearers for the servos. Now we're going to have to transfer the movement of the servos to the steering surfaces, and here we have what is called Sullivan. It's goldenrod. It's called. You buy a pack of these. There are 2 of them, and we're only going to have to need 1. And with these, you get this, and there are 4 sets of clevises and bits here that you can screw into the yellow, and this will serve us quite well. So these will fasten onto the servo, and this yellow rod will screw into it. So this will move the steers, the surfaces. That's about it. We're going to have to fit all of these, and now I'm just going to take these two bearers, put them somewhere around there, and fasten the servos. I've fitted these aft bearer into the fuselage. I put the offcuts underneath to get an equal distance, and I put it into the fuse at 30 millimeters. There's no need to make it go any further, because this is it's good to have access to it. Then I glued it using thin glue like this. Just put a drop on both sides, and this will penetrate the balsa and glue this this bearer in place. To position the other bearer, I just put in the servos. I slide the bearer up to the servos so that they are trapped by them, and then I measure 30 millimeters from the bottom on either bearer, and so now I have the position of this one. Now I can just put the glue on. I was having a good look at the plans, because I wanted to put in these this floor for the speed controller, and then I noticed that here we have a 3/8 or 10 millimeters triangle stock, and I've got some here, and I'm going to glue it down here into this corner. Since he shows this on the plans, it's probably best to include it. In order to hold the floor for the speed controller, I've glued some 5x5 millimeter balsa sticks inside, or railings inside the fuselage, and then I'm going to glue this floor down on top of them. here on the fuselage. Inside there is a balsa stick, piece of balsa that sits like this. To stiffen the side, I'm going to hold it with a couple of clamps. And then run a bead of thin CA on either side. This will hold it down. The last thing that we're going to glue today is this floor here in the cockpit. That's just a piece of 3mm balsa that we fit down in here like this and glue it in.